Welcome back to the Inspire Hope podcast, where we're planting hope for kingdom growth. There's nothing more inspiring than God being at work in people's lives through their stories. My name is Rachel, and I will be the host of this podcast episode today. Today, we have Jill Swanson, who is a Christian image and color consultant, whose passion is to help women feel good about themselves and the way God created them, both inside and out. Jill understands the second guessing many of us experience when we look in the mirror and feel insecure. Her goal is to see women blossom as they make the most of what they've got effortlessly every day so they can embrace life. With an emphasis on simplicity and affordability, Jill has written several books over the last 20 years, including Simply Stylish, Look Great, Spend Less, Simply Beautiful, and 30-Day Makeover Inside and Out. Jill works with clients online as well as in her Minnesota and Florida offices. Welcome, Jill.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So let's just jump in first with your story. I definitely want to hear all the tips and tricks and fun things about beauty because, every woman loves those.
True.
But we're all about the story. So what is your story? How did you fall in love with Jesus and get into what you do today?
Well, I guess my story goes all the way back to when I was born. My parents lived in the Chicago area back in 1961. And at that time, there weren't things like ultrasound or anything that you could see what the baby looked like before it was born. And when I came out of the womb, I came out with all of my guts, my intestines on the outside of my body. Which was it's a very rare disease. It's called gastroschisis. At that time, it was called omphalocele. And my parents were like, they had no idea this was going to happen, and neither did the doctors. I preface that because I think what happens is in today's society, we can see those babies before they're born. And I know of several situations where babies were seen like this in the womb, and the moms were advised to just have abortions because the chances of the baby living was not that good. Fortunately, my parents didn't even have an option at that time. I came out of the womb. The doctors looked at my parents and said, all we can say is if you believe in God, we suggest you start praying. And this wasn't a Christian hospital or anything. They just didn't think there was any chance. Well, my parents took them up on that. They were faithful, and the prayers were answered by them and the community. Wow. And what happened, the results of it were obviously I did survive it. I ended up with multiple surgeries after that. I've had 9 major surgeries on my intestines and my body over the course of my life. Most of it started with a bad bowel obstruction, which is kind of like the pain a person would get right before giving birth, that kind of a low back pain, stomach pain, just excruciating. And my parents would rush me into the emergency room. They'd do surgery. They'd sew me up and say, good for another 5 years or 50,000 miles, whichever came first.
Yeah.
So that really shaped my life growing up, because I grew up with the idea that God probably had a purpose for me, being raised in a Christian family. That was told to me at a young age. So I accepted Jesus when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. As I grew older and I hit my first marker where I had to go in for a major surgery, I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. And so, again, that really affected my perspective on life and the value of it. I think it became more obvious to me as I got older because I realized how rare it was. I ended up doing a lot of internet searching and that sort of thing, and found out that the rare disease that I have is less rare than it was. There's more kids being born with this disease. And I went and did my first 5K, I think when I was about 40, 45 years old. Maybe even 50. And by the time when I got there, it was for my diseases, for gastroschisis, which is so rare. And I got there and they said, we'd like all the people who were born with this disease to come forward and stand up here so, we can just get to know who's here. So I walked up to the stage, and about another 30 people, 20 to 30 people walked up to the stage with me. All of them were half my height. In other words, they were all children. There was nobody that was an adult in the group. Wow. I found out that they think I'm the oldest living person that was born with this disease. And again, it goes back to the power of prayer. People who prayed and believed that God could heal me, and the doctors just saying, hey, we can't do it. And isn't that where God wants us when it comes to prayer and submitting? I was just fortunate enough to be a part of it. Later in life, I found out that it could have been connected to a chemical that my mom used when she was a spotting agent for dry cleaning company. You use
Wow.
spotting agents to get out the spots before they go in to be dry cleaned. Unbeknownst to her, just the fumes from that could have caused a birth defect. And I
Mm.
found out that through another group of parents that had children with this disease here about 10 years ago. And the
Wow.
moms had worked around a man who used a cleaning agent to clean a machine. So it's pretty interesting to see how our environment can actually affect how babies are born. So
Mhm.
anyway, get back to my story. God was merciful. He saw through it. The last time I had a major surgery was probably about 10, 15, at least 15 years ago now. And in that surgery, they
Mm.
took out my large intestine and said, that we're going to just take this out and see how you function without it. So I remember waking up and thinking, where's that bag at that they put on you, when you have those things done to you.
Yeah.
And the presentations that I do when I speak in front of groups, I do a transformation in front of my audience where I go from looking like a frumpy old lady into hopefully something that looks a little younger and brighter and more attractive. And I rip off my clothes when I do this because I have another set of clothes underneath. And all I could think about as I laid there and the doctor leaned over my bed, I thought, what's going to happen when I do this transformation and that bag drops out? That's going to be awful. I can just see what's happening. So the
Yeah.
doctor looked at me and goes, we were able to do it without having to use a bag on you. So I was really
Wow.
grateful. So now I tell people, I stand before you a gutless wonder. Only God could do this, could make a miracle out of my situation. And I use
Wow.
it as a stepping stone to the importance of sometimes things look tragic, like it's not going to be fixable and you want to just do away with it. And why put myself through the pain of giving birth to a child that might not be perfect?
Mm.
And fortunately, God has proved otherwise, and many children are living healthy lives today that have this disease.
Wow, Jill, that's an incredible story. And
A
it
long
just,
story. I'm sorry.
no, it's not long. That is, you know what, it's perfect because so many of us can relate to some degree, like not to your exact situation, but there's purpose in pain, right? And when we're
Absolutely.
young, like those trials, when we're young, so many times we try to shelter kids from that, but those trials are what leads us to Christ at that early age to say, we can't do this. Like, we are so dependent on something else, and that childlike faith is born. And
It
just
is
that
so true.
there's so much testimony to God's prayer, like answers to prayers and God's help and deliverance. And that's a daily thing for you, right? Like to walk in that dependency.
Oh, it
It's
really is. I mean, from the time, like when I was in junior high school, I can remember being taunted by kids about being ugly because I had all these scars on my stomach. And in junior high, we had to go do gym class where you changed your clothes. And
right.
you can't hide something like that. So I
Mhm.
always had this feeling of just being ugly and not good enough. And it was overwhelming. I felt ugly and like a total misfit, okay,
Mm.
because I was the only one that had all these ugly scars on my stomach. And yet I learned to be so thankful because after I got in about the eighth grade, I had another major surgery. And I remember doctors saying, it's amazing that you got here on time, you're alive. And I made the decision at that point, no matter what God put me through, I was going to try to have a good attitude and be
Mm.
thankful that I was alive and that He had a purpose. And I think that purpose, after keeping going in about every 5 years, I remember when I was in my 20s, probably about 25, somewhere in that age group. And it was the first time my husband had to help me deal with this pain.
Okay.
And I got through that surgery, and it was probably about a year after that. I remember being in my kitchen thinking, what if I have to go through this again? That NG tube, the NG
Mm.
tube is a tube they put through your nose and down through your throat and into your stomach. And it was horrible. It's horrible to have to go through it, especially when you're totally aware of what's going on.
Mm.
And I remember thinking, I can't do it, Lord. I can't do it again. And I fell to my knees and I heard an audible voice say to me, but what if you can do it to help other people, to save somebody who might not know Jesus? Would you do it for that? And I fell on my knees and said, if that's what it takes, I will do it. I'll
Mm.
do whatever you call me to do. And when I
Mm.
let go of that fear of the pain, which is a big part of anybody's pain,
Mhm.
that was so freeing for me. It
Mm.
said, okay, now I can do all of what God asked me to do, good or bad. And I was tested. I mean, I went through it several times after that. But God is so merciful, and He's used it to blossom this ministry in me when I realized that, like, I had named my business Simply Beautiful Inside and Out, but forgot the fact that I was born literally inside out. And He weaved it all together.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that just brings so much more meaning to that, right? Because
Yes,
you get
yes.
that. So what led you into being a Christian imaging consultant?
Well, again, it was a situation where I knew I wanted to be a movie star. Let's be honest here.
Okay, there you go.
I wanted to go to Hollywood. I wanted to be an actress. I thought that would be so cool.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they don't have a real high need for somebody who's got lots of medical issues like I had. And my parents said, no, you can do anything, but you can't be a movie star or a truck driver, which was the other thing I kind of wanted to do. And so that narrowed my options down. But I found out that by becoming an image consultant, I can help women feel better about themselves, regardless of, you don't have to have money to do this. Wearing the right colors doesn't cost you anymore to buy a shirt that's the right color versus the wrong color. So when color analysis came on the scene, I was like, this makes so much sense. It's like Granimals for adults. Everything can mix and match, and you can make it work, and they can be beautiful. And what more could I want? And then the opportunity opened for me to speak about what I did. And I thought, oh, I could be on the stage. God's given me the chance to perform, which was in my heart to do. So I had all kinds of opportunities to move this business along, and found out that it's a very easy tie-in with the way I was born and being able to share. So not only do I get to share a little bit of my testimony, a lot of my testimony, often when I speak for churches, I also get to share it in front of secular groups in a very subtle way and let them know about Jesus. So He took what was just a business and turned it into something much bigger. In fact, one of the opening doors I had for this was a guy that I knew who was a dance partner of mine, and we were just friends. Earl was just, a platonic friend, but he started looking better and better, and I was like, Earl, what happened to you? You look so put together these days. What's going on? And he whips out this packet with all these little fabric swatches in it, and he goes, I had my colors done. And I was like, you did what? And for that? And I was like, you're crazy. But the more I watched, the more it made sense. And I was like, tell me about this woman who did get into colors and doing styles. So
That's so fun.
so
Okay.
Earl was my opening.
I have to laugh at the Granimals because my mom will wear the same colors and match all the time.
I have a feeling we're having some internet.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have to laugh a little bit when you said Granimals because my mom always said, because I tease her, she wears the same colors all the time. She'll wear like all green, and my sister-in-law, and she had a red scarf recently, and my sister-in-law teased her and said, MJ, you look like an olive with a pimento. So we have some fun with her, but yeah, so we're like some variety. It's nice.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so I'm sure you get this a lot, but you say that you come across this from a Christian perspective. But when some people argue that it's vanity to focus on our looks and beauty?
Yeah, it's true. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to have Christian women getting judged anyway. I say Christian women have the right to remain stylish because anything she wears can and will be held against her in church, in the world, whatever. It happens. And the Bible even tells us that God created us so that man judges by the outward appearance, because we can't see another person's heart. So we have to realize that this is all we have to go on, is what a person looks like on the outside. See, it's been said, there's two trains of thought here. It's been said that in order to develop trust and believability, it's actually 7% what you say. It's 38% how you say it, but it's 55% what you look like when you said it. Okay, so when you have that going and you realize that so much weighs on what you look like when you say things, our clothes actually will influence those that we encounter every day. We can't help ourselves. Our clothes speak for us. And studies have shown that somebody who looks dowdy and dated in the way they dress, in their hair or their glasses, other people get the impression that their ideas are dated. Unfortunately, that's all they have to go on. And then the second train of thought here is, have you ever had a day when you felt like frumpy, lumpy, dumpy?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Haven't we all? The truth of the matter is we really do become what we have on. What we look like influences the way we act, the way we walk, the way we talk, and even our attitude for the day is affected by that. It's like a little German minister of ours years ago. I remember he stepped up to the pulpit and he said, "Ladies, I want you to know, a little bit of paint on the side of the car never hurt anything." And I want to jump on and say, "Amen, preach it," because it's so true. A little bit of paint isn't going to hurt anything. You need to go with what looks good on you, feels good on you, what you feel like you want to stay in control of. So it doesn't have to be 3 hours in front of the mirror in the morning. Definitely not.
There's so much truth to that, because we should be confident in how God created us to be and to feel that way and walk around that way. But I will confess, if I don't have a little paint on the barn, I'm feeling a little frumpy and not feeling as confident in my day. So, but when I do take a little bit of time and put some effort in, it not only helps me, it helps my marriage, it helps like the people around me, because I'm less focused on myself and more focused on the people that I'm with.
So true. And, oftentimes I'll challenge, especially Christian women. I'll say, okay, try spending at least the same amount of time or more spending time with Jesus on a daily basis as you do fixing your hair, putting your makeup on, taking a shower, picking out your clothes, whatever that might amount to. Make sure that there's a balance in your life. And I'm not saying that, gee, I spend an hour and a half with Jesus, I should spend an hour and a half getting ready. That's definitely not the point. Those people obviously don't have a problem with that. But I think it's important that we keep the balance right, that we keep Christ first in our day.
Most people, not most, but a lot of women spend time on their looks and their appearances, but not the heart. And isn't what's in the heart that comes out in our appearance, whether it's in our face or our words or our actions. So all of that plays into a big part of that.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why my whole focus of my work is simplify this part of it, simplify your beauty routine, and then put your time and your effort where you should be putting it.
Okay, so on that note then, many people collect things like shoes and purses. We like accessories, and I think that's most husbands' bane of existence. But where are we putting all this stuff? But I do like to simplify. How do I cut back?
Okay, well, first of all, I suggest knowing what your signature colors are to get you started. Your signature colors, and this, you don't have to have your colors done to figure this out, but your signature colors are the colors that repeat and enhance your own natural coloring. So we're talking right now your hair color, your eye color, and your lip and cheek color. Now, granted, as women, we do have control of the hair color and the lip and cheek color. So go with what you've got, you know what I mean? So for instance, lip and cheek color. When you wear a color like your lips and cheeks, like what I have on today, it gives you kind of this healthy glow. It brings up a refreshed look. If you're going to get your picture taken, that's oftentimes a good choice, is to wear something similar to your lips and your cheeks. Or if you're meeting somebody for lunch and you want to look real good, your lip and cheek color is usually a safe bet. Your eye color is your communication color. And that's the color, if you need to speak one-on-one with someone and you want them to really listen to what you're saying and to believe you, the most convincing color you can wear is your eye color. So whether it's brown or green or blue or black, you can use that to your advantage, because the eye can't help but look at the color here and try to find the matching color up here. The third signature color you have is your hair color. And your hair color usually makes a great option for shoe color, purse color, leather goods. I often say, if you live in a cooler state, like I'm up in Minnesota part of the year, have a coat that's similar to your hair color. When you put that coat on, if it's similar to your hair color, it disappears into the outfit. You don't notice, does that coat go with what I have on? Or a blazer, just buying one great blazer that you can throw on with any outfit. If it matches your hair, it's going to technically look right on you. Now, one word of warning about that though, when you wear your hair color, people are going to notice your hair. If you're having a bad hair day and you wear your hair color, people are going to notice your hair. So you got to think about kind of what you look like from that standpoint. But if you get those basics down, it will drive what you're buying to some degree and narrow that down a bit more. The other thing I'll say is, like, get a nail polish that matches the color of your hands. Then nobody will notice that you have nail polish on it, and you don't have to change it, and you don't have to worry about it going with everything. Get one pair of shoes that's almost the same color as your feet are, then nobody's going to notice you have shoes on. It'll simplify, what am I going to wear with that aqua dress I bought or that hot pink dress? matching your shoes to your feet, it'll blend in with your legs. It'll make your legs look longer and it'll make you look thinner.
Bam, there's lots of well,
It's a lot, but it
yeah.
simplifies the whole thing. It's just repeating
I
what
love
God
that
gave
it's
you.
accentuating. It's not that anything is being loud or standing out. It's that blending and drawing the attention to the right places, I guess, is the most important piece, right?
Exactly.
All right. So,
exactly.
According to your book, Simply Stylish, you say that colors communicate and that people can read your clothes when you walk into a room. So you kind of explained that a little bit. Can you go into that a little bit deeper? Like, I'm curious because I will say,
Yeah.
for people that haven't seen, I have like red hair, kind of used to be more auburn. It's getting lighter, people. But I find like I'm wearing an orange knit sweater, like a melon dress that I wear, a turquoise jacket that I have. When I wear those specific colors and I walk in somewhere, they're like, I love your outfit, which not everybody says all the time, but there's certain clothes, whenever I wear them, people are like, I love what you're wearing. That looks great on you. And then all of a sudden it makes me feel better too. So what's the connection with that?
Okay, so here's what you want to pay attention to. I tell people when you get up in the morning and you swing open those kind of closet doors and you're tempted to say, oh, I have a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear. Realize you have 4 choices you can make. You can dress for function, fashion, passion, or reaction. So if you're dressing for function, like a day where you're running around and doing a lot of stuff, dress from the floor up. Happy feet make for a happy day. Okay, so feet and pants need to be comfortable. If you're dressing for fashion, you're going to dress from the top down. And the reason is 2/3 of the time, people focus on the upper 1/3 of your body. So get this part right. If you're dressing for passion, that's dressing who you are. It's dressing your personality. When I do a style consultation on someone, I base it not only on their body shape and size, but also on their personality. So how am I going to flesh out who they really are when they're talking to someone and they seem genuine? And then the 4th aspect of this is dressing for reaction. And that's where I'm going to sit here for a second. It's dressing from the outside in. It's thinking, who am I going to be with today, and how is what I'm going to wear affect how they respond to me? So like, for instance, your knit sweater you have on today, that's that beautiful color on you, naturally the color is going to elicit a lot of positive responses because it's one of your signature colors. But what I like is the fact that it's an open knit like that, which makes you approachable. When you have something with knit or a texture like this, where we can see texture, people feel more inclined to come near you. If you want people to touch you or to pat you on the back, you wear something soft. People want to touch something that looks like it might be cashmere or soft leather. We have a natural tendency to do that. If you want people to stay away from you or to make them respect you more, or you want to stand out a little bit more in the more authoritative line, you're going to wear a clothing piece that's more flat, that's a harder texture, or more severe in the lines, and people will back away. Color-wise, what I tell people is the softer the color, the more approachable you appear. And especially when it comes to color combination. So if you're wearing something, in your case, you can do like pink, peach and green together. If you do peach and green together, 2 soft colors, you're going to be much more apt to have people feel more comfortable around you. And if you want someone to talk your ear off, you're in the interview business. So let me give you this little tip. When you wear shades of tan, beige, or very light brown, people talk more to you and longer to you than any other color you can wear. It's that down-to-earth, comfortable, non-threatening color. And if you throw a peach in with that, or if you look good in pink, put a pink in with that tan or that light brown, they will tell you their life story because they're not going to be threatened by what you have to say, and they really believe you want to listen to them. On the other hand, if you got a busy day, or like what I do, I take people shopping. I take them shopping online, but I also take them shopping in person. And oftentimes, if that's in my local area, I got people that want to stop and chat with me. And it's like, no, I can't talk to anybody, or even strangers for that matter. And so what I wear is colors like black and yellow. When you put black and yellow together, people stay away from you. They have a pullback response from you. They're afraid you're gonna bite them or sting them, because what's black and yellow? Bumblebees, caution signs, school buses. So in our mind, when we see black and yellow, we're like, ooh, be careful, you might get hurt, one of those things. So if you need people to leave you alone that day and you have a lot of work to do, wear black and yellow. If you want them to come and talk to you and share with you, wear beige and pink and those softer colors. And in general, too, the straighter the lines, the more angular the features in your clothing, the more authoritative you appear. The softer the lines, like if you have something flowy or rounded design to it, the more approachable you appear. When I wrote Simply Stylish, my last book, I did it in so that I had a whole color dictionary in there. And I also included a section on how people relate to you in certain clothes that you wear, because I think that's almost as important as just looking good on the outside.
It's incredible. I had an opportunity to meet with Jill a couple of months ago now, and you're saying all this, I'm like, oh, I'm really white. But yeah, we had a chance to talk, and I would say if there's an opportunity to connect with her, I would highly recommend you reach out, because just even the way that you have gifted by God to look at people and see our natural features as God-given gifts and the ways that those attract others. Like, we're the light of Christ, right? And when we become Christians, often I have heard that our eyes change, like they soften, and people can see the difference. And I've seen that in others, where I've come across, in Haiti, I came across a voodooist, and he had such hard eyes. And then other Christians, I see that softness. And when you grow in Christ, you can start to identify those things a little bit more, right? And so Jill just had a really cool way of talking about my red hair and my freckles and all these different features that God's given me just in myself, not with any other accessories, that allows me to be able to connect with other people. And that was such a confidence and a boost for me, and just really appreciating how God created me to be. And sometimes I admit I struggle with that insecurity of, we're our own worst critics, and we see all of our own flaws and failures. And so to have that encouragement, and why people say things about clothes and how I'm approachable when I wear certain clothes and certain colors, is important to me, especially in the ministry that I'm in. I want to be approachable. I want people to feel like they're comfortable to come up to me and to share their stories and share their hearts, so I can pray with them and encourage them. That's my biggest desire. And so I don't want to do things that would deter them from that. And so if I can spend 5 minutes and put a little bit of makeup on that enhances my features and draws people to me in that sense, then I'm happy to do that. And it's just a gift.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of it is too, there's some people have naturally got beautiful features, beautiful coloring that they don't have. Like, I don't have any natural cheek color whatsoever or any natural lip color, but I have clients that come in and they were blessed with beautiful rosy cheeks or deep red lips, or a gorgeous dark hair and dark eyes and dark skin. And that is also a big plus. It's just learning to dress so that that part is enhanced. I think, and because I get people that are absolutely, no, I don't do makeup. That's no problem, because God made you beautiful the way you are. And maybe we repeat your beautiful eye shape or your nose shape. Or the other one is, I had a beautiful African-American woman that I worked with, and she had teeth that were like pearls. And to put a pearl necklace on her, right away you saw her beautiful smile and you focused on that. So it's looking for those natural beauties areas that God's given you. And let me give you another example. My nose is a rectangle, and I always hated it growing up. I would pinch the end of it so it would look like a Barbie nose. I was hoping if you pinched it enough, it would get a little pointier. Never happened. But in the process of learning how we need to repeat what God's given us, I recognized the fact that this rectangular nose was the gift that He gave me, and I need to wear rectangles here so that it draws the eye from here up to here into my face. And it's my way of saying, thank you, God, for making me the way you did. And I think we all need to start looking in the mirror and embracing the natural beauty God gave us, because that one little flaw or that one thing that you don't like, whether it's the condition of your skin or your thin hair, could be the one thing that opens the door to somebody else being able for you being able to relate to somebody else on a level that they never were able to relate to someone. It might be that connecting factor, just like scars. I often tell people, scars are like tattoos with better stories. I've learned to embrace that. When I see someone with a scar, I immediately ask, wow, what happened? Tell me about your life, because it opens that door. So start looking at your negatives as being God's positives to use in your life.
I appreciate you so much for sharing your story and for sharing these aspects, because as we hear so often in our culture, it's about comparison. We're always trying to compare ourselves. Even if we're done saying it, we all do it. Like, pictures and social media and magazines. I mean, we've had it since we were kids, that there's always been images that we are trying to live up to. And so by flipping that script and learning to embrace what God's given us individually and how to appreciate that by doing simple things to help encourage that mentality, then we can have the confidence in who God's made us to be individually, and to appreciate that in other people, and to look for those things. Like you say, when you see somebody with scars, you want to hear their story. You want to hear their heart and where they're at and how you can encourage them in that. And I love Catherine Wolfe. She had a stroke in her early 20s. She was a model, beautiful woman, and had no idea that she had anything going on. And then she had this massive stroke when she had a 6-month-old son. So she spent years trying to rebuild. She had the NG tube. She couldn't eat, couldn't swallow for a long time. And God has restored her to the point where she's in a wheelchair and she can walk a little bit. She's moving around, but her testimony is incredible. And something that she always says is, everybody has an invisible wheelchair. There's something that each one of us struggles with. You have the scars on your gut. I have a brain injury that you can't see, but it's there. There's lots of, and gut issues my whole life as well. And there's lots of different things that many of us don't see, but some of us do. Like, some of us have those outward scars that we bear, and learning to embrace them as, this is part of the story God's written in my life. But it's a gift in a sense, because we can touch so many other people who go through those things. And so learning to embrace that and do so from a joyful perspective and a way to honor God is so incredible. So Jill, you are such a blessing. And every time I talk to you, you're just so full of joy. Like, you emulate that. So I appreciate it. And ladies, connect with her. Or husbands, if you're looking for a gift for your wife for Christmas, we're coming up to that. Or, just to encourage her in how she's made, because I know husbands often will try and say to their wives how beautiful they are, and we try to shut that down. So there we go. Then women, you can encourage your husbands back in return. So Jill, where can they find your books?
Okay, my book, the one I was talking about mainly, was Simply Beautiful. I've written three other ones. I have a website, and it's just my name, JillSwanson.com. Pretty easy. Just think of swan, working with ducklings and swans, which I was and am at times. But JillSwanson.com, you can find all kinds of information. Email me. My email is easy, Jill@JillSwanson.com. And I believe I still have books on Amazon too, so that's another option. But hey, if you call or if you go through my website and you were here, use the word STYLE, STYLE, and that will get you a discount.
Ooh, very exciting.
On the
Thank
books
you.
too.
All right. Well, Jill, again, it's been an honor to have you on here. And to all of our listeners, thank you for joining us at Inspire Hope. If this podcast has inspired and added value to you, would you mind leaving a review and recommending the podcast to your friends and family? It would mean a lot to us. Do you have a story that you want to share? In fact, I know you have a story. And are you willing to share it? If so, email us at inspiredhopepodcast@gmail.com. Have a great day, everyone. And remember, your story can inspire someone today, too. Till next time.